defending himself from allegations he is a racist. And after spending the last 2 weeks attacking 4 minority congresswomen, President Trump is now claiming Democrats are playing the race card.
President Trump defending himself against charges of racism after launching a Twitter attack on the African-American chairman of the House Oversight Committee and his majority black district. Tweeting, "There is nothing racist in stating plainly what most people already know, that Elijah Cummings has done a terrible job for the people of his district and of Baltimore itself." After the president called Cummings' district, Maryland 7th, a disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess where no human being would want to live.
Infested. It sounds like vermin. It sounds subhuman. And these are all 6 members of Congress who are people of color.
I think you're spending way too much time reading between the lines.
I'm not reading between the lines. I'm reading the line.
This morning, I left my community of Baltimore, a drug-infested area.
Infested. That's usually reserved for references to rodents and insects. And infested, he says.
The same children that I watched now walking around like zombies.
Dozens of Democrats quickly fired back.
Well, the president is, as he usually is, or often is, disgusting and racist.
A racist president who attacks people because they are African American. The fact of the matter is that America is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But anyone who took the walk that we took around this neighborhood would not think you're in a wealthy nation. You would think that you were in a third world country. Third world, racist.
Do you believe President Trump is a racist?
Yeah, no question.
Used the loaded word infested before to describe minority members of Congress, including earlier this month when he suggested that 4 congresswomen of color, all American citizens, quote, go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came. The loaded word infested.
This morning, I left my community of Baltimore, a drug-infested area.
The loaded word infested.
Infested. That's usually reserved for references to rodents and insects. And infested, he says.
The Baltimore Sun publishing this scathing editorial with the headline, "Better to have a few rats than to be one."
He continues to say things about American cities all across this country. I mean, look, our president has a hate agenda.
I will say that Bernie Sanders
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
You guys are crazy! We're gonna go in there, we're gonna impeach the mother.
Rashida! We are all Rashida!
My kingdom. Honestly, I've never felt more Palestinian than I ever felt in Congress.
Because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. And it is insensitive that some would even say it's the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee.
Here on this particular, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Meadows, wait a minute.
I've defended you about with false accusations.
Mr. Meadows, I'm the chair.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. Right. I will clear this up. Now, Ms. Tlaib, I want to make sure I understand. You were not intending to call Mr. Meadows a racist, is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not call Mr. Meadows a racist.
No.
So the mainstream media wants to continue to try to label our president a racist.
President Trump, he's gonna go down as the greatest president of all time. fact is, Democrats play the race card every chance they get because it shuts down debate.
President Trump is not racist.
President Trump's comments towards the quote-unquote squad were not racist.
Facts are not racist.
The media instantly said that is racist, and nothing could be further from the truth.
It's the tweet that's been heard around the world.
Trump has brought in a record low black unemployment.
Do not buy what the Democrats are selling.
Wake up, people. We're running out of time.
His tweets are hitting the heart of the problems in the Democrat city.
He's talking about people of color. Well, let me just tell you, as an American, and you can obviously see my pigment, I have nothing wrong whatsoever with what our president said. I agree with him.
He needs to be going up on Mount Rushmore. He needs to come out with his own $10,000 bill with his face on it. Yeah.
In the latest iteration of this, President Trump just called out Elijah Cummings because of how his city, Baltimore, has been run.
If you don't like this country, if you like other nations much better like Mexico, you can leave and let us have the country.
What we saw with President Trump tweeting that Democratic congresswomen should go back to their countries, the media instantly said that is racist, and nothing could be further from the truth.
When President Trump ran in the beginning, they called him a racist. When he won, they called him a racist. And let me tell you something, when he wins in 2020, they're going to call him a racist.
Trump has brought in a record low black unemployment. Trump, who has increased the black-owned businesses.
What was the heart behind President Trump's tweet? If you're going to be a part of the problem, then leave.
If you do not like this country, you need to get on the first thing smoking and get the hell out of Dodge. You understand what I'm saying? This is real.
It is because of President Trump we're shining light on these S-hole cities throughout the nation. And of course, all of these S-hole cities are ran by Democrats.
No, he's not a racist. Was he a racist when he was hanging out with Snoop Dogg back in the day? Was he a racist when he was giving money to the Rainbow Coalition? Was he giving a racist when he was hanging out with Al Sharpton?
I find it quite interesting that people are calling the president a racist and acted as if the tweets that he's been tweeting lately, whether it's against the squad or whether it's against Elijah Cummings, that is somehow a mysterious act of bigotry and hatred, and it's just foolery, man.
People of color are so sensitive that they cannot take President Trump responding back to their ignorance and cannot take President Trump responding back to them forcefully that they need to leave Congress.
A white man can no longer criticize a person of color. If you do, you're racist. Because I guess people of color is always right. Always!
The Democrats don't want to respond with correcting the problem. All they want to do is just call everyone racist that do not agree with them.
Mr. President, thank you so much for standing up for us, for standing up for Americans, and for speaking the truth and saying what so many of us really want to say, which is if you don't like it here, you can get the heck out.
It's not racist to call out these facts. It's not racist to talk about terrible policy ideas of your political opposition. Democrats have been calling Republicans racist for years, despite the fact that they're actually the party of racism.
The media cannot control me with the allegation of racism as it relates to Trump and what he said.
So I'm tired of it. We the people are tired of it. America's tired of it.
We need to come together.
If Donald Trump is a racist, he's not very good at it.
The Democrats are the party of the KKK. They are the ones that's racist.
President Trump called it out, just like he'll call out anything. And the only card the left has to play is the race card, which is severely overplayed.
I believe that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, is the greatest president to ever be in office. I think he's accomplishing what he's promised. And I think everybody should look at the facts.
Thank you, President Trump.
And I support 45.
I support 45.
I support 45.
I stand with 45.
I support 45.
I support 45.
And I support 45.
I support 45.
I still stand with 45.
We stand behind 45. Yeah.
I support 45.
90% of the news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. Media shapes your perceptions of the world around you. If you're not getting an accurate source of media, you're not going to have an accurate understanding of the world.
The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth,
to ground all statements in facts and prevent people from being misled.
This isn't just a mission of the paper.
It's a mission of those involved in it. It's something we truly believe in.
The Epoch Times is independent.
We're not controlled by any special interests, and we never will be. They don't tell you what you can and can't cover. They say prove it and you can publish it. Corruption has been allowed to exist in this country because the people we depend on to expose it are the ones involved in it. The Epoch Times is a non-partisan media. That means we don't stand for any political party. Our values are truth. One of the foundations of a free republic is an honest media. Without knowing the truth of the situation, without understanding the backgrounds of individuals, without knowing what they really stand for, what they're really doing, you're not going to be able to vote. You're not going to be able to make the decisions that this country depends on us to make. You can't have a free republic without an honest media.
And the Epoch Times tries to fill that role.